Hello everyone, welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you're having a great day. If you've been watching Larry's Anything Goes programming, you know that we are not only providing great financial intelligence content as much as possible by interviewing other financial professionals, professionals in the travel industry, real estate industry, etc. and so forth, but we provide various services when it comes to specific products that we sell, from anything that you would actually find on Amazon or actually at Walmart, etc. and so forth. And we are actually providing specific products due to today's current crisis and whatnot to ensure that we provide the right services and products that you need at a reasonable price when it comes to medical face masks, when it comes to hand sanitizer, and when it comes to latex gloves and things of that nature, and etc. and so forth, toilet paper, paper towels. But we have what you need. Also, family, don't forget that Larry's Anything Goes is a part of an affiliate marketing network known as Gold Standard Partners, where you have the opportunity to buy cryptocurrency and allow others to invest with you as becoming an affiliate marketing partner. And obviously, if they purchase a package with the program, you're able to make money off their package purchases and make money off of their crypto purchases and things of that nature. If you want to join, please follow the links in the description, and I'll give you a call as soon as you sign up and purchase a package, and we'll go from there. But definitely, it's all about the best way to make money moves is to have currency with one another and to ensure that currency is always being spoken of on all levels, so it benefits everyone and not just one specific person. That's a lot of things that people forget about. So think about joining the program, and we'll be able to go from there. But if not, either way, it's always appreciated. And thank you for watching. And hopefully you guys have a great day and continuously make money moves so you don't live broke like a fool. Take care. As you can see, with our various products, we have our financial apparel, as you see, wearing There's Anything Goes t-shirt, financial intelligence is sexy, face masks, latex gloves, things of that nature, to obviously ensure the safety of you and your family all at the same time. We want to ensure that you get the best products and see the actual products that we're actually providing for you, and giving you another view of not only the shirts and the medical masks, but actually another view of actual latex gloves and the actual hand sanitizer. Because one thing we've learned throughout this unfortunate crisis is that we have to take more precautionary measures to ensure not only the safety for ourselves, but for our families. And having a great pair of hand sanitizers, latex gloves, and medical face masks will ensure that safety. And with all that being said, hopefully you guys will check out our online store. We have the various products that you see here. With a couple of clicks, especially if you're paying via PayPal, it makes life that much easier for you to purchase our various products, especially during this unfortunate situation. You see the apparel from Larry's Anything Goes. We have the medical products when it comes to hand sanitizer, latex gloves, medical face masks, and things of that nature, and various other products. So please check out Larry's Anything Goes. Support small local businesses. We greatly appreciate it, and hopefully that you have a good day. How goes the family? How goes it? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully, you guys are having a great and exceptional evening. Alrighty, so let's get into it. We see the title of tonight's discussion. We're halfway through 2022, and one thing I can say with all sincerity is that this is the year of the savers and investors. Now, usually for the last 2 years in 2020 and 2021, I've been saying, hey, this is the year of the investor. All right. Now, I put savers in front because, and if you're a fan of Grant Cardone, like I am, um, he says his motto is cash is trash. If you're a fan of Dave Ramsey, which I like some of the things Dave Ramsey says, and some of the things I disagree with, but respectfully, because like I said, if I disagree with you, I'm going to do it in a respectful manner because I think that's how adults are supposed to handle themselves, especially grown men. But anyways, respectfully disagree with a lot of things because the mindset that I see Dave Ramsey coming from is the 1940s, 50s, 60s, baby boomer generation mindset, which is nothing wrong with that. But that worked back then at 100% capacity. It doesn't work at 100% capacity in today's world. All right, and but I will say that that mindset is going to work for a lot of people in regards to saving money because being cash poor, which a lot of people are used to. I just got finished writing a poem about being cash poor is not in one's best interest. Okay. Especially nowadays, it's a very dangerous time to be cash poor. A lot of people have been used to living paycheck to paycheck. That's your prerogative. That is your prerogative. But I've said this before, and I'm going to definitely say this again. I believe that we are in a time frame of everybody is going to have to live like the Hispanic immigrant that comes to the United States of America. Not to say other immigrants don't live this way either, but I've seen it with my own eyes in the community. I grew up in the Northern Virginia area, and I know this has happened all over the country of at least having two families living in a house together. And I really am saying this to my African American brethren because one of the things that has been lost with I don't know if it was the baby boomer generation, I don't know if it was with the Gen Xer generation, but the one of the things that have been lost in the African American community is sense of community. There really is an African American community anymore. To quote Dr. Claude Anderson, it's just a bunch of neighborhood areas where you have a couple of neighborhoods left, and those are even disappearing at a rampant rate. But the idea of community is not only just having a job, raising a family. Like I said, this is the basic stuff. You have a family, you're supposed to take care of them. Especially to my men out there, you're not supposed to be getting credit for being a good father. You're supposed to be a good father. You know. Um, I leave it at that. Mothers too. It's like it's this normal stuff that people did before there was running water and before there was electricity. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but I'm saying you made the decision to lay down with somebody, whether you're married to them or not. So you got to be the adult and take care of the child and go from there without getting a pat on the back. But anyways, I will say with all sincerity is getting back to community, and that might be one of the best ways to do it. Having the 2 to 3 families living together, having a purpose of doing more than just you buy a house. Okay, great, that's basic, that's very basic in 2022. Even though as expensive as buying homes are today, it's very basic to um the basic stuff in life is like drinking water and eating food. All right, getting married, having a family, I say it's basic because the stuff people have been doing since the beginning of time. Taking care of your family, it's something people have been doing before there was a so-called thing known as an economy, i.e., banks, loans, and credit reports and things of that nature. People raised families before you had governments. Okay, so it kind of aggravates me when people want to, you know, pump their chest and be like, "Yeah, I'll take care of my kids." Don't get me started. I've said that analogy 1,000 times. But anyways, I digress. Um, So yeah, it's getting back to that idea of family and community, but not just from a taking care of each other standpoint, but from an economic standpoint. Because the one you love it or hate it, I've seen with immigrant communities, especially specifically the Hispanic community, of having maybe 3 to 4 families living up in one house might not be the best idea forever, but doing that for like 3 to 5 years and whatnot can help one save so much money. Okay. And when everybody's, especially when all the working adults, even the teenagers, are contributing to the house, not only by helping pay bills and whatnot, but if you have skilled trades people living in the house, that they can fix things in the house and look at to pay for the supplies and the tools instead of having to pay for the labor, because people who live in the house, that needs to become, that used to be the idea of family with African Americans when you had the Great Migration off the plantations through the other southern communities and the Great Migration throughout the United States of America. We need to get back to that. We're living in a time where you have no choice. We have no choice. Love it or hate it, we're living in a time where you have no choice. We have to get back to that because the single family income, the two parent income, that's just called known as the scraping by community in 2022 and going forward. It is what it is, and not having an agenda as a family outside of surviving or whatnot, and having a last name and talking about things that happened 10, 20 years ago, it's going to put people more so in dire straits and not being able to progress forward. You know what I mean? Not looking out for each other. If you get in a prominent job, looking out for your people. Say, hey, yeah, you can get this specific, get in this position. I'll give you, if you have to meet the qualifications, I'll give you the hookup. Having conversations about having jobs, having conversations about business. Like I just congratulated a friend of mine that I haven't met yet. I can't wait to meet him. Fred Cadet. He lives in New York. He had a credit repair business. He still has one, but now he has a credit repair business that actually helps businesses establish and obtain business credit. Okay. These are very, very important things. All right. But that's what's going to happen. And then it's like I said, you add on having families having insurance policies on each other, whether it's long term, short term, whole life insurance policies. Um, these things are going to matter and whatnot in life and in death. Being able to have a policy in case somebody dies. Unfortunately, not only you have money to pay for the funeral, but you have money to put back into a family pot. uh Families having whole life insurance policies, put when they contribute to it after a couple of years, then they have the opportunity to be able to have a vehicle to borrow money from and become their own personal banker. These things matter. Family having economic discussions. Whether you love them or hate them, the one thing I used to love to hear Dr. Boyce Watkins say back, especially 2017 18, this is when I really, for me, it's when I really caught the economic bug of enlightenment on my journey in life as an adult. He said every black family needs to have their own business. And he says at the dinner table, there needs to be discussion about business and investing, just the same as there's discussion about new movies, new music, and sports. I could not agree with that statement more, to be real and whatnot. Even having an international feel and international flavor and whatnot, and reaching, having contacts overseas and whatnot, because we're in a global economy. That's going to matter even more so moving forward. What the media and the politicians are talking about in regards to just want to keep talking about what happened in the 1950s and 60s with no economic agenda, it's basically nonsense. That's the best way for me to describe it without me getting too graphic and detailed and whatnot. All right. And the main thing I can say is, and if you have family beef, because I'm about to go into an article, sometimes you got to settle your beef and let it go. Now, either you're going to part ways with the family members, or you're going to find ways to figure out for you guys to work together. But there has to be economics at the table, and it has to be at a point where everybody's not trying to outshine and compete with each other. Let there be actual collaboration over competition. You know what I mean? Like the C word is a beautiful word, but collaboration is so much better than competition. Every family needs to be their own team. If you're a sports fan, I'm not, but hey, if you're a sports fan, every family needs to be looking like the Washington Commanders, the Dallas Cowboys, the Seattle Seahawks, the New York Giants, whatever. Have you when you hear your family's last name, you should feel that same pride as you feel when you say, I'm a Giants fan, or I'm a Commanders fan, or I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. That same pride you have from your sororities and your fraternities. That's that same pride you should have in having your last name. That same pride one has, and bless them, people serving in the military and whatnot, and serving the country, doing a great job and whatnot. You should have that same pride when you have your last name, because your last name should hold that kind of prestige and elegance and class when you think of it, especially I'm talking to the men. You know what I mean? And that's one reason why I like Damon Dash and what, because not just because he's a celebrity, because he's a successful businessman and he speaks truth to power. That's what matters the most. The only time you're going to hear me talking about a celebrity is when there's economics on the table. Outside of that, because he's more than a celebrity nowadays, he's more of a economic tycoon, and those people are the ones that are making the money moves, and those are the people that are basically making the decisions in this country, whether people want to believe that or not. All right, but anyways, so speaking of which, Jay Z and Damon Dash, some news just came out. They finally settled the reasonable doubt lawsuit as of this week. I find this to not only be great news, but I find it's like, okay, great. Now, because it's been one thing that obviously, that was Jay-Z's first real big album. And they've been dealing with this for quite some time right now. And I'm glad to see that it's finally come to an end so they can, go on with their lives, because the album debuted back in 1996. I still haven't heard it yet, because I'm nothing against Jay-Z. Jay-Z is one of the best lyricists out there, but I just never was a big Jay-Z fan. When it comes to rap music, I was always more of a West Coast guy, Cannabis guy, Wu-Tang guy, and more of a Tech Nine guy. So it is what it is. Nothing against Jay-Z. He's a great rapper. But anyways, I digress. But the article states that each party's claims were dismissed without prejudice, allowing for future suits. Each side is responsible for their respective legal fees. Rockefeller Records first sued Dash, who co-founded the label with Jay-Z and Kareem Biggs Burke, after he attempted to auction Reasonable Doubt as an NFT. The auction was canceled at the time. Was auctioned on an NFT that Jay-Z had commissioned from the multidisciplinary artist Derek Adams, created to celebrate Reasonable Doubt's 25th anniversary. Called Heir to the Throne, it ultimately sold for $138,000. Dash then filed his own suit, accusing Jay-Z of transferring streaming rights to Reasonable Doubt's S. Carter Enterprises LLC without authorization. The joint stipulation filed in New York Supreme Court declares that Rockefeller owns all rights to the album Reasonable Doubt, and no shareholder of the label holds a direct ownership interest in the album, and may not alter or dispose of any property interest in Reasonable Doubt in any way through any means, specifically including non-fungible tokens. The agreement also states that clearly that any shareholder is free to disposing of their ownership interest in Rockefeller. This is nothing more than a frivolous stunt, says Alex Spiro, an attorney for Jay-Z and Rockefeller. Dash's lawyer said in a statement, as reflected in today's joint stipulation, this meritless lawsuit ended much as it began, with each party in the same position as they were and prior to the commencement of this litigation. And that's the sad part. So it looks like they're probably going to be fighting to the death of this. But this is a great example and a sad example. And let me exit out of here. This is a great example, yet a sad example of two very smart men. They parted ways on how they parted ways. I'm not going to get into particulars. Everybody knows. And if you don't know, look it up. But they had a great empire. And the saddest thing is, they came into they came into um, owning Rockefeller Records and building something great. And now there's two still one of the most prominent and richest black men in the world and whatnot, Damon Dash and Jay-Z. However, um, they can't come to terms on agreeing on ensuring that the way that the first album, Reasonable Doubt, is dealt with in a reasonable manner. And that's the saddest thing ever. All right. But it's like, my personal opinion on this, and Dame Dash might hate me, Jay Z might hate me, because I'm not pocket watching anybody. But the saddest thing is they both come from New York City. All right, Dame Dash comes from Harlem, Jay Z comes from Brooklyn. two areas that used to have a very big African American population, and now that population is either non-existent or dwindling at a very, very fast and rampant rate. Unfortunately, New York City will never be the same. Los Angeles will never be the same. I actually wish I was an adult that grew up in the era when those areas were bustling with African American prosperity and pride, from LA to New York and whatnot. Even though they were quote unquote dangerous areas, I wish I could have seen those areas during that time frame because I know it was a magical time to live in those cities. But I will say, with all sincerity, is that um, the fact that these two come from these cities and they built great, magnificent empires. But one of the saddest things is that the communities that they came from, one, have improved significantly, but two, they don't really have any ownership in those communities from economic standpoint, Um, and I know because I know they both basically live in Los Angeles now. I'm sure they have homes everywhere, but they basically both of them live in Los Angeles, the well-to-do city, and there's no togetherness. That's the sad thing. Like the beautiful thing about when Rockefeller was in existence and operating, there was that sense of togetherness and whatnot, and trying to get things done, economic prosperity, and that this is a great case of they need to let bygones be bygones. Sell, make just do 50-50 in regards to the selling of reasonable doubt from an NFT standpoint or any other standpoint, and move forward. Because my mindset is even if I despise somebody and didn't really want to do business with them, hey, you just get a percentage of whatever we do with this, and let's call it a day. Let's meet halfway on that one, huh? That would be my mindset on a regular basis. But I know it's deeper than what I'm saying. I'm making it more black and white and straight to the point. But I really wonder who's holding this thing up and doesn't want to work together to ensure that all parties receive their right share of money in regards to this album and whatnot. I have a funny feeling it might be Jay-Z. So it is what it is. I'm not going to say that they both don't do great things and whatnot, but it's even you look at a city like Los Angeles and whatnot, like a Dr. Dre and a Snoop Dogg, the amount of money that they've made coming from that city, and now their communities from Compton and Long Beach no longer look the same. One and then two, most people can't working people can't afford to live there. But that's most major cities nowadays. It's like it's not. It's all major cities are for the well-to-do. The small towns and the suburbs are for working people, and you know, I find it to be very, very sad. But it's just one of those. Is what it is. This is why ensuring that you're making money moves on all levels, and you're ensuring that your family is more than just you guys working and surviving or whatnot, but your family is way, way bigger than that because that, like I said, the old concept of the whole Lone Ranger in the United States of America, it's coming to an end very, real soon, real, real fast. Okay, regardless of what state you live in. Okay, you can live in Florida, you can live in Georgia, you can live in the Carolinas, you can live in Texas. It's all that stuff is becoming irrelevant now. Red state versus blue state and whatnot. Yeah, one state might have less taxes and no taxes compared to another state, but if you still, like I said, if you've left California to go to Texas just to be a basic employee, then you're still being basic. You might have a nice house, and that's great, but having a house is much more than just having a house and looking fancy on the gram. And having a house is much more than just having a responsibility and whatnot. But having a house, especially in the African American community, needs to be looked at as an economic, tangible asset, not just saving tax, getting a tax write off and whatnot. Okay, what if we own a house now? What are we going to do? We have the insurance policy. Now, what are we going to do? It's just like having a business. Now, what are you going to do? You have the career. Now, what are you going to do? There's always other steps and levels to this. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to have that conversation because it makes them have to think more. Therefore, it makes people have to work more. And that is an unfortunate but sad reality that a lot of people don't want to accept. Because, like I said, my parents' generation was the last generation to have that luxury to only have a job and be, for the most part, good. Might make some investments here, might make some investments there, But they're the last generation to be able to do that. My generation, the millennial generation, and everybody coming behind us will no longer have that luxury because we no longer live in the era of retirements and whatnot. Those jobs are non-existent. Even whether you got a government job, a corporate job, small family, small business, that era is over with. But a lot of us don't want to accept that. And that's, to me, that's just one of the craziest, quirkiest things ever. But what do I do? So speaking of which, well, I mean, what can I do? Speaking of which, there was another article that I was reading today. I'm an avid reader, and it's talking about, and this was in USA Today. You can look it up yourself. 55% of Americans save in their 401k, but it may not be the best retirement account for you. This is according to USA Today and Marie Backman from the Motley Fool. All right, this is actually written. Um, this is actually published today. So I just was reading this one today, and it's very interesting, but it's very true all at the same time because I mean, hey, I contribute to my 401k. I have a bunch of individual retirement accounts and whatnot, but it's everybody knows, and you can see, you can look up the documentary in regards to the people who created the 401k. It's not really meant to be, a retirement vehicle only. All right, but we know that we can't expect Social Security to provide people with enough money when they get older, as far as retirement expenses, and that's where one's supposed to have personal savings. As I said, this is the era of having more savings. How can I have more savings? Live like you used to live in college. If you can't find family members, that's another thing. If you can't find family members and this is to my people who own a big place or rent a big place. If you can't find people who in your family that you can team up with and be the ugly duckling in a room and have to say, hey, I got a bunch of roommates. It's like kind of like what house hackers do. They buy a house. Buddy of mine has done this, and he's had roommates ever since he's had his house. He's had his house since 2009. Buy a house, rent out the rooms, have your mortgage basically paid off by your roommates and whatnot, and you're able to bank money, and certain other utilities are actually paid for by the roommates, and you're banking your money. You're putting money away from your paycheck and you're contributing to your savings account because you don't have to worry about paying a freaking mortgage and whatnot. And then, hey, have an older car, not driving as much. That's another way. I mean, one of the biggest reasons for me why the gas prices haven't affected me is because I work on increasing my income. One, and two, I've never had a car payment. I'm going to be 40 years old in the next 6 months. I've never had a car payment. I've always had an older vehicle because my bank accounts and assets look way better and it feels way better when they grow than me having an overpriced car. But that's just me. All right. But anyways, if an employer offers 401k plan, you may be inclined to participate or forced to participate. Um, but in recent years, New York Life survey said 55% of people that respond to the survey say that uh, they house their retirement savings in a 401k. But while these plans have their benefits, they also have their drawbacks, and so you may want to look to consider another vehicle for your money and whatnot. And they say this is what Today says the problem is with 401ks. Let's get one thing out of the way. Some 401k plans are better than others. They all differ. That's why you got to do your research. You don't just listen to people online. So while your neighbor's plan might leave much to be desired, your plan might be fantastic. But generally speaking, there are certain disadvantages you may encounter when you save for 401k, save for retirement in a 401k. Especially there's so many different plans out here. A lot of times the fees that are associated with it, that's why you got to do your research, can be astronomical even when you reach of legal age. um it's like it says, first let's talk fees and whatnot. um they could be, there's so many hefty administrative fees that can be associated, and sometimes they generally aren't negotiable when it comes to the fees that you with your 401k plan. And since obviously there's other plans that offer more choices than others, but if your options are limited, you could get stuck having to load up on mutual funds with high fees or expensive ratios that eat away at your returns. All right. No. Now, obviously, like I said, depends on the plan you have, plans on the mutual fund, plans on the mutual plan. Basically, depends on the mutual funds and low cost index funds, which could be passively managed and therefore a lot less expensive, fee wise. But while index funds may be cost effective choice, they don't give you a lot of save over your investments. In fact, one major flaw of 401ks is that they don't let you buy individual stocks. To that, you'll need to look to open up an individual retirement account. And I'm a fan of all that as well because at least with that, you have more control over the individual stocks that you can own and whatnot. And obviously it talked about, should you ditch your 401k? No, I mean it says no, and I agree with that. It's like if your 401k is if your employee is offering it, why ditch it? It's something you can roll over to the next plan that you might have, or you can end up rolling it over. Obviously, talk to a financial professional. Say if you want to go rogue and be your own boss or whatnot, we can roll it over into your IRA plan. Or if you want to have your own business, you can have your own business 401 solo 401k plan or IRA plan and roll it over into that. So either way, a 401k is a way for one to make their money moves. Usually you can't dip into it until you're 59 and a half years old. How we're going in America, probably 60, 65 years old. But, you know, um, I don't see a reason to ditch it. Not at all. It's a vehicle. It's the first time my money was being invested in the stock market was when I had a 401k with my first quote unquote real job. And then 2 years later, I opened up an individual retirement account. So, these things matter. This is something that one should look into. But my point is at the end of the day is don't put all your never put all your eggs into one basket when it comes to anything in this life because you never know what might bite you in the butt. All right, my single parents know what I'm talking about. My people who have been fired from a job or their business has gone belly up know what I'm talking about. And people who've had health issues know what I'm talking about. You never put all your eggs in one basket because that's how you get caught slipping, no matter how you slice and dice it. So, but at the end of the day, being able to not only have investment, I won't even call a 401k a retirement vehicle, I'll call it a quote unquote an investment vehicle. But in today's world, having access to cash from your savings account, whatnot, and then two to capital from credit to from your home, borrowing against your home, borrowing against your business. These things matter all at the same time as well. But having um, ac- having a boatload of cash is going to work out in your favor, especially when these emergencies pop up. Medical issues may pop up. Things are going to pop up, especially now we're in a point where um, you know they're not flooding the market with cash like they were 2 years ago. So we're in a different time now. So that's why I said it's like cash right now is not trash. Having cash saved away and still another, but having more of it saved away than just having it all put into investment vehicles is in most working people's best interest right now because things will happen. And then obviously you see with the inflation between gas prices and food prices and whatnot, cost of living prices. I mean, it's like I said, a lot of people, I think more and more Americans, if that have this 1955 mindset, are going to get screwed. Period. No matter what state that they live in, because the old model, the 40-hour work week, and that's it model is slowly dying. Cannot put it any other way, family. I really can't. But what do I know, right? But anyways, I learned something new today. I learned something new today. It's funny. I always get cotton mouth when I go live. So my apologies, family. But that's why I got my good, healthy water with me with my lemon and um, mint green leaves and cucumbers and whatnot. So yeah, I try to be a little healthier. But anyways, I learned something new today. I was listening to EYO University, so shout out to EYO University because this is where I heard it. They were talking to a gentleman who is a quote unquote crypto slash investing expert, and I did not know that this such thing actually existed. Now, family, if you've heard of this, let me know in the comment section. But this accredited the definition of an accredited investor. All right. Now I thought an investor was an investor. Like I said, I know I don't know everything. I learn something new every day. But my mindset was an investor is a freaking investor. But I was wrong. And that's why I can learn new things because I can be wrong and I can be corrected. And I leave it at that. You know what I mean? A lot of people can't because a lot of people get into their feelings, and at this point, it's just laughable. So I can't put it any other way. At this point, it's just laughable. But anyways, I'm going to read the definition of an accredited investor. Got this from Investopedia. I've heard the actual term today on EY University with their guest today, but this is very, very interesting. So an accredited investor is an individual or a business entity that is allowed to trade securities that may not be registered with financial authorities. This varies from state to state as well. They are entitled to this privilege access by satisfying at least one requirement regarding their income, net worth, asset size, governance status, or professional experience. Like I said, very, very interesting stuff to me. Like this is where I'm a geek at. A lot of people are geek when it comes to Marvel movies and comic books and video games. I'm a geek when it comes to money. That's why I said you don't if like especially I always say when the politicians start talking about I hear money involved, I know they're lying about something because that's what makes the freaking economy go around, especially in a capitalistic society. All right. Regardless of sitting in the White House, governor's house, or the mayor's house. Anyways. In the United States, the term accredited investor is used by the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, under Regulation D, to refer to investors who are financially sophisticated and who have reduced need for the protection provided by regulatory disclosure filings. Accredited investors include a high net worth individuals, HNWIs, banks, insurance companies, brokers, and trusts. Okay, so clearly for the well to do. All right. Sellers of unregistered securities are only allowed to sell to accredited investors who are deemed financially sophisticated and enough to bear the risks. Accredited investors are allowed to buy and invest in unregistered securities as long as they satisfy one or more requirements regarding income, net worth, asset size, governance status, or professional experience. Unregistered securities are considered inherently riskier because they lack the normal disclosure that come with the SEC regulations. All right. So interesting stuff. You know what I mean? Interesting stuff. And I just wanted to read that out because it's basically for the well-to-do. And the gentleman, I forgot his name, but he was on Market Monday, so look him up. Um, the gentleman was talking about how him and his buddy colleagues are working to abolish the whole accredited investor aspect for the well-to-do. I think they're starting in Georgia and Florida, and then they're going to try to work their way to Texas, because obviously it's set up for the big guy to win over the little guy and whatnot. And you have to quote unquote, you even have to have a college degree in a lot of instances and a certain amount of capital and whatnot to even be considered an accredited investor. Very interesting stuff. Like I said, just learned about this today, so I'm not as knowledgeable on it, but I will become more knowledgeable on this later on. But it's just amazing. Like I said, the money game is amazing when you really, really dig deep into it. All right, but a lot of times people don't want to do that because we get distracted by our cell phones on a regular basis. Family, I know this, you know this, so it is what it is. We get very, very distracted very easily. So it's just one of those things. But on that note, family, I'm done. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this. Did not think I was going to go this long tonight, but this is the year of the savers. All right. I hope that people are investing the money somehow, some way. Whether it's even just signing up with my platforms with Stash, Webull, Acorn, Crypto.com, Coinbase. Um, especially if your employer doesn't even offer a 401k, you might want to talk to a financial professional to see if you might want to look into getting an IRA. You can get it with all those grant all those programs that I just mentioned and whatnot, because they're brokerage accounts. But being able to save as much money as possible right now is in your best interest. The economists are going back and forth. Everybody online is going back and forth about the economy, about a recession coming. Not the economy specifically tanking like it was in 2007 and 8, but definitely some sort of more of a slowdown and whatnot, because people feel very, very, very unconfident about the market or whatnot, and about the economy right now. And they very well, I mean, you go outside, you look at stuff, the price of everything. I get it. So I can't even, at the end of the day, I can't even knock it. It's like when you start, you can have all the confidence in the world, but when you're seeing things deteriorate around you, um, things happen. So, on that note, family, that is all I got. Hopefully, you guys have a great night. Thank you for the love and support. I heard my Cash App go off a couple times and my Venmo go off one time. So, greatly appreciate y'all, family. Keep doing the great things you're doing out here. Do the great free things. Like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the online store. Thank you, everybody. The sales have been coming up this week, and I love that. So, I greatly appreciate the love, because at the end of the day, we're all we got. Happy Juneteenth, almost here. We're all we got, and we got to stop messing around because there's the economic war happening every single day, and a lot of people are asleep because all they care about is what's happening on social media. It's your choice. No one can make you do something you don't want to do, but then don't be that person complaining like a little baby when things didn't work out the way you wanted it to. All right, that's all I got. Take care, family.
Now.